it's me again, Marie, in Marie's Country Life. Today I'm going to plant chayotes. Last year, sometime around December, was it last year or a year before? Maybe 2019. Anyway, sometime ago, I showed you how to plant chayotes from the chayote seeds itself. I have like 8 chayotes here beside me. They are all sprouted. These are from my chayotes, from my chayote plant. The very first chayote seeds that I use for planting my chayotes, the chayotes I have right now, I bought them from the store. So whatever, if you want to plant chayote, you can just buy a chayote vegetable. And if you don't eat it, you don't cook it, you don't fix it, and if you just let it sit beside a window where there is sunlight, and even if it's just on the table, eventually it will become mature and it will grow sprouts. And I have here, this is the most mature one, the very wrinkly one. The other one, it still has a little bit of shoot, maybe about 3 to 4 inches. But obviously, as you can see, all these here I have long sprouts. So I really need to transplant them. And I still have probably 6 chayotes that have sprouts. They are not quite as long as this. The sprouts of these are just almost a foot and a half. So I'm going to show you what you can use, or what I use for planting my chayote seeds. And I have here some chayotes as well that they are not quite as mature, but they are sprouting. They have these shoots. So what I did was just cut a portion of it, like half of it, and cut it like a V shape, as I'm gonna show you, and I have shown you in my previous video as well. Cut it into V shape and just leaving the seed part where it has the sprout or the shoot. But before I continue on with my planting demonstration, let me show you what I did to these chayotes. As you can see, not all of them are wrinkly. Some are actually not that mature, but all of them have sprouts, or they're ready for planting. Hello friends, today I'm going to show you the chayotes that I have from my garden. Back in around October, I think that was like second week, first part, second part, last part of October, I was able to harvest quite a bit of chayotes from my very own plant. If I would like to estimate how many I harvested, including the smaller ones, I probably have over 100 pieces of chayotes. And because I couldn't eat all of them, the ones that are bigger size, including this one, I was not able to put everything in the refrigerator, but I do still have some that don't have sprouts. As you can see here, these chayotes have sprouts or shoots already, and they're ready for planting. Even though the ones that I have here are not really hard, you can see I was able to break it with my fingernail, and you can still feel it. There's still a little bit of juice. But anyway, these are the 2 ones that I purposely made it to go mature while they were still on the vine. And look at these. So these are ready for planting. It's very tough. I cannot even make use of these. It's really tough. And these, when I harvested them, they were supposed to be for eating, and they all now have sprouts, except for this one. Yes, this one has sprouts, but it seems like it's inverted. But sooner or later, it will also show some leaves on it, the end of it. And right here, there's a little bit of shoots. So yeah, I'm left with all these chayotes that have grown into maturity. So what I'm going to do is give a few of these to my friends that are nearby for them to plant as well. But today I'm going to show you how I propagate my chayotes. And again, these are from my own chayote plants. So even if you only plant 1 or 2 chayote plants every year, and if you are able to make them produce some chayotes, you can grow or replicate from your own plants. Here in Tennessee, where I grow these chayotes, it's zone 7A. So I'm blessed that we are still able to produce something, and it depends again on where you live, because if you live below 6, the zone is 6, 5, 4, you will probably have a difficulty growing chayote, or you can grow them but they won't be able to produce any chayote fruits at all, because for chayotes it requires at least 5 to 6 months to produce chayote vegetables. When I planted mine, that was in later spring, and then it started flowering around September, and then October there was a lot of chayotes already. So today I'm going to plant for sure the ones that are ready for planting, the very wrinkly one. But see, even if, okay, this one here, you cannot eat them, but I suppose you can. But see, it depends. Even the store-bought ones, you can still plant, you can still eat them, and you can plant the ones that you can buy in the store. Sometimes when you let them sit, and most of the time when I started growing chayote, I got a few chayotes from a store. I think that was a public store, and then I let it grow. I let it turn into a mature one, and it started producing the shoots. Basically, a chayote vegetable is the fruit itself. So if you let it sit and if you let it go into maturity, and then it will start producing the shoot. So it comes by the stage of it. So this one, and then it will grow into this, and from this size it will grow into this size, and then you will have a full blown or a full size of the shoot. And then the quicker you transfer, the better, because the shoots, the tendrils will start to produce if you don't transfer them right away. Okay, so this one, it's too late for this to be, it's past edible stage, and this one is past edible stage, so they're hard. The obvious wrinkly one, they're past edible stage, so you can't even eat them. So what I'm going to do for the ones that are not so wrinkly, these are actually not quite mature, but because they are ready to produce something or ready to shoot out or to sprout, so that's why it's doing what it's doing. But with this one, because the flesh is still soft, I can just cut it out into a V shape, and I will be able to eat the flesh that's not chewy or hard and cook them. So make sure that you use the sharp knife, and with a steady hand you can cut it into a V shape. Make sure that when you do this, that you are not going to cut the seed inside. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. You can use a chopping board. Make sure that you have a steady hand, otherwise it could cut your fingers and you're going to cut the seed itself. So, and you don't want that. You want the seeds intact. There you go. Make sure it's the V shape. There you go. I did cut it a little bit, but let's see here. The flesh is still good. It's still juicy. It means this portion here you can still eat and cook. You can, and so this one here, you can plant it. If you are not ready to plant it right away, you need to put this in a container with water. Right here, you can put it here. Make sure that there's a little bit of water so it does not dehydrate. Well, you don't want to put too much water anyway, because the seed itself, the chayote itself, is the source of food for the chayote. So that's why even though it's really wrinkly, the chayote itself can still sustain in producing the leaves and the shoots, because it has water. The chayote vegetable has water, so it will provide food or nourishment to the growing chayote. And so with this one, I can just peel it and cook it. Here's another one. And the skin, this is a different variety. This variety is more smooth, and obviously this is not as mature, but even though it's not as mature as this one here that's very wrinkly, the skin is still soft. I'm able to poke my fingers through it, my fingernail, I mean. So again, with this one, cut it with a very steady hand, and then turn around. You need to use a cutting board to support, and here it is. So I have two here that I can just put together right here until I'm ready to replant them. But I will be doing it very soon, because I don't want the, if you let these in water, sit in water, it will also rot. So never let it sit in water for too long. You have to, once you cut it into V shape, you must transfer it right away into a pot for growing, for it to continue to grow. And this one here, again, this one is still soft, but it's got a shoot already. So I'm going to also cut this into V shape so that I can still eat the remaining flesh, the soft part. There you go. So here's the remainder, and I can eat it. This one here. And let me put this one here in this. There you go. Which one? Well, this one again here. Here's another one. This one is a little tough. You can hear the sound of it, the scraping sound. I cut it a little bit. So, but anyway, there's already sprouts, so it should be okay. It will still continue to grow. But again, make sure that you're very careful when you cut it. Otherwise, don't bother. If you are concerned that you're gonna damage the whole seed or you're gonna damage the whole plant, or you are concerned that it will not grow at all, don't bother cutting it like this, okay? And I'm not worried about it right now because I have a lot to plant. So even if this one does not successfully grow, I still have some more. So anyway, my suggestion if you're really concerned, do not bother cutting this, okay? Do not cut it into V shape. Just plant the whole seed itself so that it has its own food. And as for the edible portion of the chayotes that I just cut off from the chayote seeds, I'm going to peel them and I'm going to wash them and I'm going to cut them up and I'm going to cook them and make stir fry. For more ideas on how to cook and how to prepare chayotes, feel free to check my vegetarian cooking playlist. Okay, now time to plant the ones I have here. So let's get started. I have here some topsoil that I collected from our yard. Topsoil, you can just make your own potting mix. You have topsoil, you have compost. You can buy the compost or you can make your own compost and just mix them together. And I also have this one here, perlite. It helps improves the drainage and aeration in potting mixes. You don't have to have this. You can just make some leaves if you have dried leaves and make it like this. The dried leaves, anything, or if you have hay, eventually these leaves are going to decompose and they will serve as your perlite. You know, it helps improve the soil. It helps with drainage. So as long as you have the organic material, twigs, and dried leaves, that it should help with your drainage. But since I have this bag and it's a store-bought one, I will just go ahead and mix them. It helps. A little bit helps. It doesn't have to be all this bag. For one wheelbarrow, the wheelbarrow one, I don't have to have all this here, but maybe half of this. Just it helps with soil drainage. And I have here this soil. I'm gonna reuse this soil. This soil, I had some sweet potatoes planted here for my starter, and this is an old soil. I can reuse this. So if you have some old soil, see, in fact, it has some sweet potatoes, so I don't have to have those in there. And you can reuse your old soil, your soil that the soil that you use for planting flowers, other potted tomatoes, potted peppers, or any vegetables that you just planted in containers. You can just mix it here with the new soil and it will help improve the soil. Mix it with the new soil. So anyway, so this is what I have. You can make your own potting mix for sure. You don't have to keep buying. You can make your own compost, and gardening doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to buy everything. So today I'm also gonna show you how to reuse containers, reuse seeding trays. I have here, this one here is a salad container. Actually, this one has been used once. So anyway, I have salad containers. I don't toss them. But of course, if you have a lot, you just throw them away or give them away. Recycle. So I like recycling stuff. This is still a good plastic. So I put make sure that you poke holes before you make this, use this as your seeding tray. So I use the tip of this and then I just put them on the ground and stab it. And so there you go. There's hole like an X. See, you can even poke it through. And then this one, you don't make holes because from here, I can just let it sit here. Once I put the soil and once I put the chayote or whatever seeds you want to start here and want to grow, that once you water it, the water will just be in here. So it's not gonna sit. So there's something to catch. So here's this, but for planting chayote, I will not be using this a lot because my concern for planting chayote is because this is still December, middle of December. And I have like 3 or 4 months to go before springtime, before I can transfer my chayotes. So what I need is just something for these chayotes to grow until I'm ready to transfer them outside. So temporarily, these chayotes will be growing inside our house in one of the bedrooms that we are not really using. So, and also, since we're talking about recycling, you can recycle your containers, your salad containers, fruit containers, for planting, for seeding as a starter, and your grocery bags. If you have grocery bags, I have this 1, 2, 3, or 4 layers you can reuse. We have, all of us have grocery bags that you can reuse. I find using grocery bags easier for transferring chayotes, especially when they are grown maybe like 3 or 4 feet high at the end of the season, that it's harder. If you have this kind of container and then it's tall, the chayote plant is tall, so then you have to tip it over. So for this, I can just tear the bag. Once I put the bag with the root ball and with the chayote plant in the hole, I can just tear it, and then it's easier to transfer that way. Anyway, I will show you how to do this later as I update how to plant or how to transfer chayotes. And of course, for now, we'll have to do what I'm going to show you, and I will basically I'll be showing you the ways that you can plant chayotes. So you can use the regular containers that you can buy in stores, or you can use a recycled salad container, or you can use grocery bags, 3 or 4 layers of grocery bags. Whichever is convenient for you to use, feel free to do so. And so far, I have found planting in grocery bags easier. So now we're gonna fill these containers with soil, because that's the purpose of it, right? So I have this. I'm going to plant a chayote here. And we're here. Just for experiment and show you later which one is more convenient to use, and for transferring, whether you use a regular potting container or the grocery bag. Anything that you can reuse. You don't have to buy everything for planting, especially if you're just planting the seeds as a starter. There you go. And here's the grocery bag. I have 1, 2, 3. Make sure that you have 3 or 4 layers of grocery bags. Reuse those grocery bags that are just taking up space, Fill the grocery bags as much as you can. Fill it with soil. Pack it because you don't want it loose. Okay, all the bags are filled, all the containers are filled. Make sure that it's tight, and then you can just roll it like this, and at the end you can do this. Same thing on this side, because you want to be able to. There you go. There's that. 2, 3, 4. They're full. Make sure that the soil is moist. Keeping the soil moist is very important so that the roots can grow better. And they need to be watered on a regular basis. If you make sure that you check them once you plant them inside the house. once you put them inside the house, make sure that they're getting sunlight. You can put them or place them near the window. Now it's time to plant. I'm going to use these first. These are the chayotes that I cut in a V shape. The reason why I cut it into V shape because they're stuck together. Because the chayote is still it's still in the vegetable stage. The chayote was still in the vegetable stage and it's not as wrinkly. So technically I could still eat it. So I did cook half of this. But since it's sprouting, I cut it this way. You don't have to do it this way if you just want to have your chayote planted, okay? And the reason why I did it this way so that the rest half, the part that's still edible, I can cook it. But you don't have to do this. I still have like 5 or 6 chayotes that I'm going to give away to my friends that are living nearby. So these are the ones that have longer sprouts or shoots. So this is what you can do. Just plant them, make a hole inside and bury it there like that, and that should be it. Oops, I almost broke the shoot. And there you go. That's it, as easy as that. And also this one here, make sure that you have a hole that you could let this sit in the middle. Make sure that there's, when you plant also, because as you see the vine that's starting to grow, it's either leaning left or right. So you position the chayote properly so it's going up, not sideways, okay? Like that. Make sure you have that like that. So it's going up instead of sideways. Here's another one. Here I have 4. There you go. And another tip, don't bury the vine, the stalk of the chayote too deep. Make sure that it's on the near the surface of the soil. Okay, don't bury the stalk. You don't want it buried because it's not good. It can rot the stalk. So make sure that the soil is up to here only. Do not bury the stalk. See, since it's twisted and leaning to the left or to the right, I have to place the cut chayote sideways a little bit. So the most important thing is that the chayote itself, the chayote that's sprouting, is in the soil. So the roots can grow and spread inside as long as there's soil. So this is it for the chayotes that are in the grocery bags. They're ready. They are ready to be moved inside the house. That was quite a show. He jumped over me. Yeah, over the plants. There you go. All the chayotes have been planted. So the chayotes are planted. You can use trays to catch the water. It's the potting trays that you can sit this right here because you don't want water just puddling your floor. So that's useful. This one already has its water catch. What do you call it? It's called a saucer, a pot saucer. Must have pot saucer. And for the grocery bags, before you put them on a saucer, make sure that you make holes on the sides or on the bottom. You can use a pointy shovel or a nail or anything that's pointy. You can just make 3 holes, something like that. So the water does not sit as you water them. Watering is necessary if they are dry, maybe once or twice a week. And then you can place them here in the saucer. It's very important. And keeping the bags snug and tight on the side, it helps shape the soil so they're not loose inside. It makes it easier for when you transfer them later in the late spring. Chayote does not survive in winter, so that's why I'm going to let them grow inside the house for now, and come springtime I'm going to transfer them. Late springtime I'm going to transfer them outside. So the chayotes are all planted. They are in the grocery bags and in the salad recycled container and the regular container. They are to grow they will be growing inside the house over the winter. So it will be 3 to 4 months until I can transfer them to my garden. So, and actually for winter time, the growth is going to be slower, even though they're inside the house. I mean, it's still cooler up there. So I will be placing them in one of the bedrooms that we don't use. It's basically for our guests, but anyway, nobody's sleeping there. So I'm going to put them there closer to the window. And once the leaves are out and all the vines are growing and there's more vines and more leaves, I'll be using I will get some organic trellis. You can use organic trellis. You can use bamboo if you have bamboo. They're very good to use as trellis. So here, all you can do is just put it right here on the edge of the corner and make sure that it is stable. So once the vines are out and there's more vines and more leaves, the trellis can help support the chayote. Okay? And the smaller the vine, the smaller the plant, of course, you will only need a smaller trellis. I'm just using whatever I can find. You don't have to spend a lot of money to grow your food, you know. But the most important thing is that you're practical and you can make do with what you have. And as long as there are branches for the chayote to climb on, for the vines to climb on, that's the most important thing. And, okay. And you can also trim the shoots. Because if you don't want the chayote vines to be growing crazy and occupy the whole room, you can just cut the ends of it and you can control the growth of the chayotes. Okay, that's another tip that you can do. Make sure that you have the trellis. It's a must. Trellis is very good. It will help support the vine, the chayote vine. But make sure that if you want to control the size, that you trim the ends of it. It's like, how do you say it? For trees, how do you say it when you cut trees? Basically, you prune the chayote vines, okay? If you want to control the growth of it, so you cut the ends and you remove some of the vines. That's how you control it. And then once they're outside after winter, then you can let them grow however big you want them to be. And of course, excuse me, you can you can put these trellis right now after you transfer the bags or the containers, or you can put them once you have them in the bedroom, okay? But I think I will put the rest of the trellis once I place all these bags and containers in the room. I think that's all for now. I hope that this video is useful and you find it helpful. Feel free to check my previous videos about chayote planting, how I start my chayote, how I grow my chayote indoor, and how I transfer them outside. And thank you for watching. Until next time, happy planting!